Welcome to Game Changing Dads. This is your host, Razor Ray Matz. And here at Game Changing Dads, we encourage husbands and fathers to lead, love, and live. On today's show, I have the privilege to interview a good friend, Justin Welling. Justin is an awesome husband, father, and a Penguins fan. Currently, Justin is the lead engineer for the Air Force and working on an awesome new woodworking business. Justin, welcome to Game Changing Dads.
What's happening, Ray?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
Doing great, man, like always.
Awesome. Well, hey, let's do this. So, Justin, give us a quick snapshot, starting with your childhood and ending up where you are today, and then we're going to get into it.
All right. You said quick, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So it was a cold, rainy day, and not that kind of quick. So I was born in West Virginia, grew up in Pennsylvania, in the middle of kind of in the boonies. I was brought up kind of with the type of childhood of you leave the house at the beginning of the day and you don't come back till dark, and you're out riding your bikes around, playing in the cornfields and running through the forest and all that kind of stuff. So definitely kind of a down home type of upbringing. Grew up through school doing music and swimming and roller hockey, of course. Got to have the hockey in there. And ended up as I went up through high school, I did some lifeguarding, coaching with a lot of the kids at the Y and everything, teaching them swimming. And then ended up went off, got my master's in engineering. Got a job doing defense subcontracting for a company, doing lots of different cool things, making things that go boom and all that kind of stuff. And then ended up while I was there, went and got my master's in business through WVU. Part of that was kind of cool experience, week-long seminar in Germany. It was a optional class. I said, hey, you know what? You might as well do it. Where else do you get a chance like this? And I'll never forget the professor during that class said, hey, this will be a truly life-changing experience. Okay, I'll take your word for it. I'll try this out. So we went ahead, did the course, did the week-long seminar in Germany, and 2 days into the trip in Germany, walk into a bar, sitting there with my buddies, and in walks my wife, or my future wife at that time.
Awesome.
After the trip, I got back and I sent him an email, gave him a call, and said, little did you know, that really was a life-changing experience. So, and then after meeting her, we started talking about where we wanted to live, and I was kind of at a stagnant point in the job career I was at there with ATK, and said, let's shake this thing up a bit. Let's try something different. So I started throwing some stuff out there. Started looking at, hey, where do we want to live? Right, man, beaches of Florida sounds real good. So we upped and moved it down to just north of Jacksonville there in Fernandina. Got a job working for a small company there in Jacksonville for a little bit as a lead engineer for them, doing biomedical things, CNC machining and stuff. It was really kind of a neat experience. And ended up then working for the Navy for almost 8 years as a lead engineer, working on missile systems and mechanical equipment and everything. And then I got to a point there again where it was just hit a stagnant point and started seeing that writing on the wall. There were some other life issues going on at the time. Said, you know what, there's a time, prayed on it real hard, it was just speaking to me. I needed to shake it up again, needed to make that move and make changes and make things happen. So my wife and I started talking about it and said, you know what, there's some good opportunities across the state over at Eglin Air Force Base. Said, let's try it out. Let's see what happens. So we went and got in as I actually took a downgrade just to get my foot in the door over here, just to make the move happen. And as a result, got in the door, quickly showed them, hey, I know my stuff. I know what I'm doing. They had a position that had just opened up as a lead and said, hey, you know what? I don't even need to talk to anybody else. It's yours if you want it. So they bumped me up right back away and actually gave me a pay increase above the lead position I had before. So it worked out great.
Awesome.
So that brought me here today, and then just been kind of living the good life here. We made a great move, have a nice house, great location. Ended up put us in a great position for being able to do things outside as well. It's right here on the panhandle, right near the water. We're out kayaking, going to the beach, doing all sorts of nice fun things all the time with the kid. So yeah, love it.
Awesome. Love it. And 3 or 4 times you mentioned shaking it up. Now, here's the deal. If you're a game-changing dad, you're involved in our coaching or our mastermind, I'm telling you, man, it's all about shaking stuff up, man. We've been friends for probably over 2 years now, Justin, correct?
Oh, at least, yeah. It's been a few years now, yeah.
Met through hockey 2-3 years ago down in Fernandina Beach, and talk about a mover and shaker. Absolutely love it. And I wasn't very relatable when you're talking about cornfields, because I grew up in the hood. He grew up in the cornfield, but then you had mentioned blowing things up. So, my father was shot, when I was a little bit younger. We used to hear gunshots. So my relatability started kicking in a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's right.
No cornfields in Philly, man.
No. Yeah.
Absolutely love it. So Justin right now is part of our mastermind group, and I really wanted to get in and just ask him a couple questions about our mastermind. And, my first question that comes to mind is, why did you choose a mastermind?
Yeah. So I'd been hit with a few challenges here in my life where I'd noticed I was letting my health kind of slip a little bit. I wasn't really taking care of myself. Needed to get my health back on track. Shed a few pounds. End up and then just in general in life, I wanted to kind of get things kind of straight and have some accountability with some other good game-changing dads, good guys, and so that's why I kind of reached out, and I said, and that's, I called you the one night, said, hey, listen, I need an accountability partner. I need somebody holding me accountable, holding my feet to the fire, and checking in with me. That way I can go and say, yeah, I messed up today. I had that pizza. It was so good. And then I feel bad about it so then I end up going and running 3 miles. So the accountability, I think, was a real big piece for me. And then as well, it's a great place to go and share ideas and discuss problems with other guys that can relate to those problems and be able to really work through those issues and work through different life challenges with you.
Awesome. Very, very well said. And what I love about, especially with Justin, we're going to have a handful of guys that we're going to probably relate to on a very minimal basis. And it may be a conversation about a sports team. But when you get into a good mastermind or really have a close friend, any time together is just awesome time. And let me run you back several months ago to the hurricane. What hurricane was that? Do you remember name?
Oh, I don't remember the name of the thing.
So here's how close we are. This is just to share a little insight on us. So we had to evacuate our island. We were on Amelia. They were up maybe 4 or 5 miles off the island. I think we were in evacuation zone 2, weren't you? If I'm not mistaken.
They were saying, you might want to get out of here, but we're sitting there going, we're not really in a floodplain, and we got the steel hurricane shutters. We'll be fine.
So being stupid hockey, I mean, smart hockey players thinking like, yeah, he's got these really cool steel shutters and a hurricane, whatever you call them. I mean, and he's like, yo, man, why don't you guys come hang out? I mean, we got 3 kids, they got Izzy, and we're like, okay, yeah, we'll just kind of ride it out there. Was it 3 to 4 days without electric? It was like non-going candles. People are like
Yeah.
just spread out all over. Kids are passing out because we didn't know what time it was. What a great experience. And then, we wake up the next day and it's starting to clear up a little bit. Then we're pulling like 5-pound bass out of your like pond in the backyard. Does it get any
Yeah,
better than that? Seriously.
but you have to say what kind of fishing rod it was, though.
It was a Pixar or Disney Cars fishing rod. And it
Yeah.
took me a little time, but I did pull them out.
It was
I
priceless.
love it. And then we migrated back to the island because y'all didn't have electric.
Yep.
And then you hung out for a couple of days there. We just ate whatever we had available. And then
Yep.
we actually went fishing 2 days. And then Justin had probably, I don't know, man, I want to say a 60-inch redfish because it was a monster. The waves were crazy. I mean, we were on the end of the hurricane. And man, the hook broke and we did not get a picture. Fish story for
Yeah.
everybody.
I'm so crushed on that one too. I still tell stories about it. It's the fish that got away, man.
Man, I saw the tail on that bad boy. I mean, you're talking, can't get in the video here. I mean, it was huge, dude. It was beautiful.
Oh yeah.
But, just spending time together. And like I said, to have that bond with somebody is very rare. And I appreciate Justin and Barbara's friendship over the last several years. So let's get back to the mastermind. So you told us why you got involved. So what have you gotten from it over the last, several months? What's kind of your takeaway from the group so far?
Well, it's actually been really great because the original main purpose for me getting involved was really to get that accountability group for me to help get me on track with my health, my weight, and keep me accountable there, which I've definitely been succeeding there. I'm down over 20 pounds, almost 25 pounds now, which is awesome.
Yep.
And that's just been in a few short months. I think 2-3 months now. And along the process of just talking with the guys, we got Mario, entrepreneur, out there with his restaurant and everything, and got yourself as an entrepreneur as well. And I've been tossing around this idea, and I know I talked about with you over in Fernandina and everything as well with the woodworking. It's definitely one of my life's passions. I love doing it. I definitely find my zen when I'm out there, as I call it, making man glitter. Yeah, it's not sawdust, it's man glitter. And it's one of those things of if it's something where I could do it and really kind of give back at the same time, it all ultimately would make it satisfy the biggest urge in my needs, and just talking with the guys there through the group, it kind of re-sparked that interest for me as well, and got me thinking about doing that again. And it's kind of odd how God puts different things in our laps right at the right moments too. Because right as I'm thinking about these things, I started having things fall in my lap with the woodworking. Guy at work starts telling me, "Hey, I got a couple of these barns. I'm going to tear them down here soon." I'm going, there's some wood on those barns. I could take and use some of that, because that's one of the things I'm all about is giving that old wood redemption and giving it a redeeming factor to bring it back to life, So yeah, it definitely kicked me off on starting down that path of, hey, let's start working on putting this together and trying to make this happen as well. So.
Awesome. Very cool. So talking about accountability and action, the 2 key words we use a lot at Game Changing Dad Mastermind. And if you're not accountable to somebody, I mean, you're just kind of slipping through the cracks, I should say. I don't know where woodwork, probably because of you, the whole woodworking deal. But yeah, and if you don't have the action, I mean, you're just, you're not shaking things like Justin talked about earlier. I love guys who can kind of come into the group and right away get their groove. Sometimes it takes several months. We have a couple groups going right now, and we get guys that may not have that entrepreneur spirit in them. But then all of a sudden they're listening to other people's stories about getting into business, losing weight, or just increasing bettering your relationships, whether it's kids or marriage. And all of a sudden the other guys will feed into that and say, I need to start taking action. So accountability and action are just huge, big, giant steps. And we absolutely love it over Game Changing Dads. So let's do this. This is kind of one of my favorite little segments of the show. It is called Rapid Fire. And why I love this, I'm a hockey guy. When you can line like 15, 20, 30 pucks up at the blue line and just stop firing away, I'll be honest, I really don't care where they go, but they're going fast and hard somewhere. So
well,
if the answers are awesome,
I'm not that great at goalie though now. Come on.
Okay. Absolutely. That's okay. That's okay. We've seen him in there. I experienced it. But yeah, rapid fire. We have 4 questions we're just going to ask. So just whatever comes to your mind, throw them out there and we'll have some fun. So rapid fire. Question number 1 for you, Justin. Favorite book?
So I think one of my favorite books right now that I've read recently is it's one by Josh McDowell and his son. It's The Unshakable Truth. Great book. Ends up going through a ton of questions and tons of thought processes on just challenging your faith and talking through different speaking points of faith. It's just an amazing. It's an amazing, refreshing, different view on just analyzing your own faith. That was one of my favorite ones I've read here recently. Actually, I just picked up another book of his. One of the guys from work, I was talking with him about Josh McDowell. He was like, "Oh, I got this book of his at the house. I'm going to bring it in to you." So he brought it in for me. So I'll be reading that on the plane here to Germany in a couple days.
Awesome. I will make sure I have all these authors and anything you kind of put down in the show notes just to share with our audience. But no, that is a good one. So second question, favorite husband moment? Since you are a husband, favorite moment?
Favorite husband moment. Man, I got a lot of them. Man, I tell you, I got one of the best wives out there. And there's so many things on a daily basis. I mean, hell, just to even put up with me is right there. That's enough. Just to even put up with me.
That'd be a good moment. Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
I like
yeah. I mean, I got so many things. I mean, she is one of those women that I don't even hardly even need to say a thing if I've had a rough day at work and I come in the house, she can tell, okay, man, he's had a rough day and everything. And she'll just do the smallest little gestures, whether it be, just pour me a glass of whiskey and setting it by the recliner for me or something, but I think one of my favorite moments was when we first met, and I'm sitting there at the bar with my buddies and everything, and she comes walking in the door, and I was sitting there at the end of the bar, right by the door, and kind of turned around, saw her walk in, and I was like, oh man, okay. And so she goes there and sits down with her friends and everything, and she sat over there for a while, and here I am. I'm the chicken of the whole thing. I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, say something to her. I couldn't do it. So she gets up, she comes over and says hi to me. So a story we always tell people is she bought me a beer and she couldn't get rid of me.
Love it. That is okay, but look where you are today.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, we have I think the biggest part of our relationship, and if I could give one piece of advice for any husbands out there, husbands to be, is establish communication. Make sure you
Mm,
can talk with your wife and understand what she's saying and understand how she operates, because without the communication, there's nothing. I mean, our first year and a half of our relationship was with an ocean between us. So we had nothing but communication.
wow.
We would talk every day. There was only one day in that year and a half where we didn't talk. It was because I was in the boonies of Pennsylvania,
Mm.
Pennsylvania, and I had zero cell phone reception. And I called her the very next morning, and I was going, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." She's like, "I know where you are. You're okay with it. It's fine." So
Wow.
yeah,
Great piece of advice. I
yeah,
mean, we hear that from so many dads that, oh, my wife wants to talk all the time. She always wants to yap and gets to, and, I just want to fix stuff. I was like, dude, I get that.
that
Been there,
don't
done that. Come
fix.
on. Hello. But when you really understand that communication, man, two-way street,
Yep.
period, man, that is huge, man. A lot of dads miss that, but being game-changing dad, that is awesome, awesome advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
let's get,
you touched on the big point right there. Is as a guy, your first natural behavior is you want to fix. You want to fix it. You want to fix it.
uh-huh.
Right. And even me especially, I'm an engineer. I'm a craftsman. I like to work with my hands. I want to fix things. And that's the thing. It's one of the biggest challenges. You got to learn to just stop and just listen, because a lot of times that's all they want is just to listen, just
And
somebody to listen to.
most of the time, I know from my wife, speaking from my experience, after 15, 20 minutes, literally full circle, figured out herself as I'm sitting there at, whether agreeing and just trying, but not saying anything, listening, great word. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden, it's like you can walk away and be like, hey, I didn't do anything, but it worked.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good one. Good one. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into the next one. Favorite dad moment.
Favorite dad moment. Oh man, I got a lot of good ones with her. But my hands down, one of the best days ever was just that first moment holding her in my arms and stuff. I mean, I think any dad will tell you that first moment holding their child in their arms is just amazing. Um, but she does things all the time that just makes you super proud of her. Yeah, and um, it can be things like uh, I think one of the funniest ones was uh, so playing roller hockey out there with you, teaching the kids up there on Saturday mornings or Tuesday evenings, right? And she would come with me, and of course she wanted to learn to skate. So she slipped on some rollerblades a couple times. I think they were a loaner pair from you. Um, and she tried it out a couple times, and she comes home the one day and she goes, "Papa, I want my own pair of rollerblades." And at the same time, we're trying to teach her to ride her bike without training wheels. And so I was like, "All right, well, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. You go and you get riding that bike without the training wheels, and I'll get you a pair of rollerblades." All right. So she goes, all right. She's like, okay, let's go. I was like, what? She's
Awesome.
like, let's go. I'm serious. Let's go. I'm like, okay. So we went out to the garage and we had two bikes out there. One was without training wheels, the other one with. So I grabbed the one without the training wheels, and she's like, I'm like, okay, you ready? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, all right. Puts her helmet on and everything. And she's at the top of the driveway, and she coasts down the driveway, picks her feet up, cruises out into the street, puts her feet back on the pedals, and starts pedaling away. And off she goes down the street. And
Wow.
here I am. I'm in my flip flops. I'm like running after her. Oh my! Come on! Don't wait up.
And thinking
So
it's time to get new skates.
oh yeah. So I had to buy her new skates that night. But it just shows the resolve in her. She is such a strong-willed individual, and and it's just amazing. A lot of that, I'll say, is definitely it's my wife through and through. She is a lot, her. Um, and I mean, she does that kind of stuff on a daily basis. Actually, even it was like the next day after learning to ride her bike, she goes and she face plants, busted lip, like head first over the handlebars and everything. Had to take her to the ER. She had pushed one of her teeth back and stuff. End up, we're driving back from the ER, pulling into the driveway. She's like, "Papa, I need to get back on my bike and try that again."
Wow.
I'm like, man, this girl's awesome. So, but even those things, and then even things like, it amazes me at the age she's at, where she is with her faith. We do Bible stories each night with her and stuff. We pray with her before meals and before bed and everything. And like even today at dinner, she goes, "What would you do if we were at church and like say it was Easter and Jesus just came in?" I'm like, "Well, Jesus is always there. His presence is always there with us." And she's like, "No, I mean he was like there."
Physically.
He was physically there. I was like, "I don't know what I would do." And she goes, "I would fall down at his knees."
Mm,
I was like,
it's good
it's
stuff.
moments like that where you're like, man, okay, I did something right.
Absolutely. Amen. And I love everything, especially with your daughter. And guys, don't miss that. Whether it's a prayer, whether it's conversation at dinner table, whether it's face planting over the handlebars, whether it's holding your first child, man, we have so many opportunities as dads to just, man, enjoy as much as possible. Money's out there. We talk a lot about that on Game Changing Dad. You can go out there and start a business and make money and all that good stuff, but time with your kids, all of a sudden, boom, and it's gone. So you got to take
Yep.
advantage of every second you get. And Justin, you do a fantastic job at that. All right, last question, and then we will wrap things up. Can you share one piece of game-changing advice with our audience tonight?
Game-changing advice.
And you had a bunch
Yeah,
of it too. So
yeah,
I was
yeah,
very hesitant on
yeah,
asking you that question. I was like, well, he just
yeah.
gave us a whole bunch, but I'll
Man,
just throw that at you.
I think the biggest thing is, you know, I know I've hit on earlier was, shake it up. Like think, you know, when you sense yourself getting stuck in that neutral, you're just coasting along, and you just, all right, I'm just going with the motion. That's when you get lazy. That's when you start getting, kind of falling to the wayside of things. You know, and that's when you got to recognize and just keep your eyes open and peeled for it, to shake it up and just make a change, do what needs to be done. And a lot of times it may not necessarily be for yourself either. It might be for your family. Um, and ultimately when we make those sacrifices for others, that's when the best things happen for yourself too.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that's one of those things. Is this whole move for us, this last one for us was, it was a little bit about me. I was definitely in a stagnant point with my career, and I needed to make a change there. But there was other things going on in our family and our situation and everything where we needed to make a change and shake things up a bit there. And so it was definitely one of these big things where we were walking away from a lot of friends. I mean, we'd been there in Fernandina for about 9 years or so, and made a lot of good friends there and everything. And so we said, hey, listen, we got to shake this up. We'll make those sacrifices. And ultimately, it's been a great move. We have so much support over here from friends of ours, people that have known my wife's family for a while, and we have some great activities for Izzy. We're right near the water. We'll take a kayak down there. We'll jump in the water. We'll go kayaking and fishing and stuff. It's great. So, definitely seize the moment, shake it up, sacrifice for your family, do whatever. it's all about your family, your wife, your kids. They're everything. At least for me, that's everything. So.
And which is crazy. I'm listening to you talk about, first of all, it's getting stuck in neutral, not sure what to do or, find that next gear. And we actually have a great podcast number 4. If you're stuck in neutral, then you can fast forward to podcast number 9, which is Shake It Up. So I'm not sure if you were referencing those podcasts, but if you were, I appreciate it. I just actually looked up the numbers. So that would be 4 and 9. You are the man, dude. That was not in our show notes. Go figure.
Well, the amazing thing is like I said before, it's amazing how, God speaks to you in different ways and stuff. And, right about the time that I was, going through all these things, that was, I know I was talking with you a lot about the different things I was going through at that time and shaking things up and what I was talking about doing and stuff like that. And so I know, that was one of those things where I know you were talking about, well, I'm recording some podcasts right now, right on that topic, So, and I definitely, those ones definitely hit home with me because they spoke exactly to my life situation I was going through at that time. And they were great podcasts, definitely great podcasts.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that big time. Well, hey, let's end on that note. Justin, man, awesome story, game changer, shaking it up, getting out of neutral. Dude, you've got it all dialed in, and we greatly appreciate your time tonight.
Hey, no problem, man. Always glad to do it. Anything for you, man. You're like a brother to me, so got nothing but love for you.
Awesome, brother. I appreciate that. So if you are ready to be a game-changing dad, check us out. We have our new mastermind starting up in mid-June. Check us out at www.gamechangingdads.com/mastermind. We appreciate you listening. If you get a chance, if you can go onto iTunes and throw us a rating, that would be absolutely awesome. And we will end on that note. We appreciate you guys and enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll see you next week.